how you came to personal faith in God.
Yes, I'm a Jewish believer in Jesus, and I was raised in a conservative Jewish home, which does not mean conservative politically. It's just one branch of Judaism. But in fact, it's not conservative religious faith. So I was nominally Jewish. In other words, we went to synagogue for the high holy days. I was bar mitzvahed at 13, but I only learned enough Hebrew to chant a passage. I didn't even know what I was actually saying. So it was fairly nominal in my upbringing in New York. And I got caught up in the whole counterculture revolution of the 60s, became a heavy drug user, and from the ages of 14 to 16 was living in rebellion, doing drugs, going to rock concerts, playing drums in a rock band. And my two best friends, the fellow members of the band, came to faith in 71. And as I tried to pull them away from the Lord, God's people prayed for me, and I got wonderfully born again in 1971 at the age of 16. I was shooting heroin at that point, using every drug you could use, was pretty much instantly set free. And my dad said, "Michael, I'm glad you're off drugs, but we're Jews. We don't believe this." So, when you're raised in a Jewish home, even if you're not religious, you don't believe in Jesus. And it's a bad thing to believe in Jesus. And what Jews know about Jesus is generally negative, or the Jesus of church history that persecuted Jews. So he immediately introduced me to the local rabbi. The local rabbi befriended me, gave me a book on anti-Semitism and church history, which was kind of a shocker. But because I was so new, I didn't grow up in the church. I didn't have a connection to church history, so I just kind of discarded that. And then he and I began to talk, and he challenged me, "You don't even know Hebrew. How can you tell us what to believe?" So that led to my studying Hebrew in college, getting a PhD in Near Eastern languages and literatures from New York University. And as one aspect of my ministry, devoting myself to Jewish apologetics, because there were so many issues that came up, so many objections, so much hostility to the faith, so many brilliant men challenging what I believed, that it forced me to dig deeper. And I became convinced that if I'm on the side of truth, then I don't have to be afraid of any objection, any attack. So that became my heartbeat. I'm just going to follow the truth wherever it leads. So one aspect of our ministry to this day is Jewish apologetics. I've written many books and done debates, put up many videos. And then my heart beats for revival in the church, and my heart beats to see the church impact the culture. So our ministry, as Dr. Brown, has 3 R's for emphasis: revival in the church, gospel-based revolution in society, and redemption in Israel. So I do a daily live broadcast 5 days a week. I normally write an op-ed on what's happening in the culture once a day, and then travel and preach and teach extensively and engage our Jewish people whenever possible.
Wow, sounds like you got your day filled.
Yes, by God's grace, never a dull moment.
So in those early days of your conversion to Jesus, did you see any other Jewish people turning to Christ at that time, or through your own kind of personal testimony?
Yeah, there were other Jewish people coming to faith. I was able to lead a number of people to the Lord in those days, but they were mainly high school friends and mainly not Jewish. There was more resistance in the Jewish community. Obviously, I talked to many rabbis, and I didn't convince them. But during that season, late 60s, early 70s, maybe up until mid-70s, is what we call the Jesus Revolution, or the Jesus People movement. So a large number of hippies, radicals, rebels around the world, just like me, got saved at that point. And many of them were Jews, because we were so heavily involved in this movement, the counterculture movement, that when God began to save people in the midst of it, there were many Jews. So that was a unique time of Jewish harvest in recent Jewish history. But at that point, I was not seeing a lot of it happening through my own witness, but was seeing many of my other friends come to the Lord. The one thing we wouldn't call it was my conversion, because that would imply that I'm no longer Jewish.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
So conversion to Jesus, you might want to say that, but one of my Israeli friends, a believer, was asked, "How does it feel to be a converted Jew?" He said, "I don't know, because it's not a sin to be a Jew. I'm a converted sinner."
Fair enough.